All right, so we're live. So, special
Bang.
guest, bang. Been on your channel enough times, but
Uh-huh.
first time on here.
Mhm.
Do you want to introduce yourself in case anyone doesn't know who you are?
Wait, is it really the first time I've been on your channel though? Is it really?
Probably. You've been
That
in the
is madness.
chats, but
Yeah,
I
yeah,
don't
yeah,
think I've
yeah.
ever actually had you physically on one-to-one, me and you. I think it's always
That
just been either me
the
on
other
yours.
way. I feel
Yeah.
bad now. I feel bad. But to be fair, you did reach out and say, Ade, I'm gonna get 5,000 subs soon. Would you come on? I was like, what? Would I come on?
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And look, here we are. We've made it work, and it's good to be on. For those of you that
Yeah.
don't know me, I am Ade Oladipo, host of this wonderful green chair, where I sit down and chat a lot of shit about boxing. I do some other bits and bobs as well for a couple of broadcasters, but this is my only first and true love, and it's good to like just talk boxing with you, man. And I've always said that I think this boxing community is a strange one. I feel like we need to come together a
Mm-hmm.
lot more and help each other, but I still feel like people have their channels over there and chat shit, and people have their channels and chat shit. Let's all come together and do bits. And so it's an honor to come on this channel today and chat a little shit.
That's what we're going to be doing. And
Yeah.
first thing you said, you work for
Mm.
several different broadcasters, The Zone,
Uh,
The Weekend.
mhm, mhm.
What was your thoughts? I want to know deep. What was your thoughts on the main event specifically? Anticlimactic was an understatement for me. What was it like
All
for you?
right. I understand that. I trust me, I do. But I want to tell you something, and this is no bullshit. This is no hyperbole. Being in there when Katie Taylor came out, I was like, okay, this is getting interesting. Like, because the crowd was strange. Like, I think the crowd, I would say it was at least 60% capacity when Maxie Hughes came out for Giovanni Straffa. And I was like, oh my God, I started looking around thinking, is this place going to get busy, or, is it going to just, because we've been saying 20,000 during the broadcast for like the last hour. And it looked like there was about 10 in there. So when
Yeah.
Katie came out, obviously Katie co-main, there was about 16. And I was like, okay, this is starting to make some noise now. But Katie Taylor's fight was a bit flat. So the crowd was, I could see, I was in like looking around the crowd, and people on their phones and looking up. And I was like, oh, this ain't good. This ain't good. When Josh Warrington came out, I have been to fights all over the world, all over the world. That was the greatest atmosphere I've ever experienced in my life. I was ringside and I was screaming like a Leeds fan. I was like, oh my God, this is like, God, life can't get any better than this. Like when he done that walk and then he went onto that thing that kind of rose him up, sorry. And then he started like, chanting. I was like, this is just like, if he loses from this point on, exit door, there's going to be a riot. I know the song he came out to as well is "Have a Riot," whatever. But I thought it was going to be a riot. But in terms of obviously the fight, look, damn square, right? It was just getting going, and I almost feel like for Josh, he'll wake up disappointed ultimately, but he
Mm.
still gets paid the same, and he doesn't have to meet him again if he doesn't want to. Because if I'm Josh now, you swerve him. Like that second round was starting to almost get into a
Mm-hmm.
shootout, and Josh isn't a puncher, but he's standing in there with someone that can punch. And I wasn't liking it. I wasn't liking it at all.
Do you think that he learned from the first fight? Because like we all knew what he did wrong the first one, but it seemed like he was doing the exact like that second round. I said the only difference from that and the first was there was fans. Do you think
Yeah.
that he just doesn't have it in him to be able to? Because when he boxed in that first round, he was doing all right. He won the first round.
Mm,
Do you think he
mm.
just whatever it is, it's that just macho instinct that has him want to just trade with someone?
Yeah, it's that, and that's the thing. I asked him in the lead up to it. I was like, it's good that you got fans back, but for me, in order for you to win the fight, and look, who am I to tell Josh what to do? But I said, in order for you to win the fight, you've almost got to box at a distance. You can't get involved. And he was like, no, I'm not going to get involved. As soon as he landed a clean one, and he did land a clean one in
Mm-hmm.
that second round, the fans went mental, and he just got involved. And it must be so difficult where, and this is why I kind of rate AJ, and maybe AJ's a bit lucky that AJ was fighting in Saudi Arabia. Because there was a couple of times when AJ landed punches on Ruiz the second time round in Saudi
Mm-hmm.
Arabia. There weren't that kind of same crowd that would normally be at an AJ fight. So AJ didn't get involved because the crowd didn't get involved. If AJ was fighting Ruiz at Wembley and he landed that punch, I think AJ would have tried to land a few more, and he could have got caught. And I think Warrington kind of went into that trap as well, where he landed one, it went clean, and rather than kind of stick to what he was doing in the first round, which was go to the body, punches and bunches, then back off, he got stuck in. And there was one time when they both hooked at the same times. And I'm telling you now, I missed him by about an inch. And I was ringside with Bellew, Darren Barker, and Chris Lloyd, and Bellew squeezed my leg. Like, oh my God, this is too scary. And I was going to tell him, get off my leg, but I thought, it's Bellew. He can touch my leg. He's okay.
Oh my God. I think it was, look, I can't say for definite, but for me, it looked like we were getting the same result as the first fight. It just seemed like Warrington was just going to stay and trade, and one of them shots was going to land. And I think when Lara did open up on him, it was like the demons of that first fight came back. I don't know about you, but I saw kind of almost like him doubting his chin, doubting that, okay, I've been here before, I know what happened, I don't want this again. I think we were on our way to a Lara win, personally. And as you said, he doesn't have to fight him again, but it's like that chapter isn't closed. We didn't get a definitive, yet he won. It was just like, chuck it away.
Yeah, but in boxing, G-Man, and you know this, I was screaming for Amir Khan Prescott for years. Amir Khan fought this dangerous Colombian, Braiders Prescott. After that, vanished. Didn't even mention Prescott again. Like, never ever mentioned the idea of rematching him again. And that was the guy that put him to sleep, right? Put him to sleep. Didn't really want that. Never really wanted to revisit the Danny Garcia fight again. Never even really wanted to revisit the Lamont Peterson fight again. Amir Khan still went on to have a really good career, right? Had some career best wins after that, likes of Devin Alexander, Louis Colazo, and others, right? So the thing for Josh is that if there was no one else in the division to fight that made sense, then yeah, revisit it again. But there's now Lee Wood, who's a world champion. I think the WBA are going to upgrade him to full title. Kid Galahad, who was there, world champion, big fights. There's Gary Russell Jr. in America. There's Leo Santa Cruz in America. So there's other big fights. Sometimes you just get a style matchup, which just ain't going to suit you. And if you were to go out and fight in America and lose to Leo Santa Cruz, fine. You've lost to Leo Santa Cruz or Gary Russell or even a Kid Galahad. If you lose twice to a Mauricio Lara and get knocked out again, then that's it. That's it in terms of being that big draw and that big world champion that has big fights. So I don't know, man. I know what you mean. For me, the chapter isn't closed. But with Lara getting that really massive cut, that's going to take 3-4 months to heal up. Lara's not going to be in the ring, and the rest, exactly. He's not going to be able to spar again for like 5-6 months. If they were to have a rematch, a trilogy fight, you're talking April next year. Warrington can't afford that. Warrington needs to fight again this year and then go again early next year. So I think Warrington's almost lucky because of the cut that he can have a fight in between. And then once he has a fight in between, everyone's forgot about Lara.
Yeah, pretty much. I think like you used a good example of Braiders Prescott and Amir Khan. Amir Khan went on to beat fighters way better than Braiders Prescott, way better. But just the style, just could be just that style that Lara has, where he's just crude but throws big haymakers. And Warrington is the kind of guy where he'll just engage, and that lead to a great fight, but it will lead to Warrington maybe getting his head taken off again. And I think you're right. Like, there's good fights to be made in that division. Like, you've got Michael Conlon as well, kind of there knocking around, and he's never in it. Mike Conlon's not in the most entertaining fights, but him against Warrington has that style to offset, make boxers fight the way they don't want to fight. You know, you'll see like Kid Galahad had to use more energy than he would have wanted. And I reckon someone like Conlon would struggle to keep up with someone like Josh Warrington, because we look at Lara and what he did, but look at Warrington's strengths. The guy's ferocious when he's got the right opponent there. He's ferocious. You know, the combination punching, bit of snap. And just these guys, even boxers, are like, I can't keep up with this guy.
Mate, honestly, when he goes. He's almost unstoppable. Like, I have to admit, what he done to Carl Frampton almost still haunts me, because I'm actually a big Carl Frampton fan. And I was like, he threw punches like in angles and bunches like you rarely see. It was awkward. It was crude. They were coming from all over the place. And Carl didn't know what hit him. I love the idea of the Conlon fight, just because Conlon's got, quite a big Irish following. And to see the Irish travel to Leeds, oh my God, you're talking you're talking atmospheres. That will be Ricky Hatton-esque. It would be the most spectacular thing you've ever. In fact, you'd need police, forget security guards, because there'll be fights in the stands.
You know, and I know definitely 100%. It would be fucking hilarious.
Jesus Christ, man, that would be something special. So look, that's what Josh has got. So the idea of Josh having to revisit Lara, I mean, his ego would tell him he has to do it,
Mm-hmm.
but his bank balance will be the same if he fights someone else. In fact, you'll probably get more money fighting Kid Galahad or Conlon or even Lee Wood right now. So, yeah, I don't know. If I was his manager, I'll say swerve it. And no one's going to say
he's not
anything.
obliged to.
No, he's not
obliged.
to
It's not like WBA or anyone have ordered it. It's his choice. If he wants to go for pride, you can go for it. But if you want to do something sensible and go for a world title, you don't have to.
There you go. And the difference between Amir Khan and Bradus Prescott was Amir Khan must have been about 21 at the time of that Prescott fight, maybe even 20, because he obviously turned pro after maybe about 21, 21, 22. So Amir Khan had 10 years left at his peak. Yeah. Josh Warrington is now 30. So, like, stop wasting time. I mean, Josh Warrington, because of the way in which he fights, that style, I would say he's only got 2 years left of being able to do that.
2 or 3 max. That has a shelf life, right?
Yeah. There you go.
The minute he starts slowing down, that's when it'll affect him.
Forget it. Yeah, he's almost like one of those top footballers that lose their pace. And once you lose your pace in football, that's kind of it. So if I'm Josh, there's certainly other things you can do.
In terms of that show, what was like, other than the main event, what other fights stood out for you? Because for me, it had to be Maxi Hughes. That was brilliant.
Yeah, I think before the event, though, before the event, I was probably thinking about Maxi Hughes, Giovanni Straffon, just because what Giovanni done to James Tennyson, the way in which he iced him in one round. And Maxi Hughes' story since losing to Sam Bowen has been incredible. Like, if you ask people on the street a year ago who Maxi Hughes was, they probably wouldn't have known. And then he beats Jonah Carroll, beats Paul Highland. And you're like, okay, what's going on? Who is this kid? Yeah, like, and then, okay, he gets matched with Giovanni Straffon. And look, I have to be honest with you, I was like, he ain't beating Giovanni Straffon. I thought, after what Giovanni done to James Tennyson, I was like, look, he's going to get caught, he's going to get knocked out. And all of a sudden, I mean, he puts a beating. And let's be honest, it was a beating on Straffon. Dude, that was it the fourth or fifth round where I have no idea how did Straffon not go down? He got caught with at least 40 power punches. So, look, credit to Maxi Hughes. I know what we say about the IBO title, and everyone's like, he's going to go home thinking it's a world title, and that's good enough for me.
Yeah. That's the way he's looking at it. That's his world title fight almost in a way.
Yeah, and it should be, man. And the thing, sorry, G-Man, I think the thing for him as well is that I know for a fact he's not made great money in his career. Now, all of a sudden, like Lee Wood at this stage of his career, he signed a contract extension with Matchroom, so he's got a free fight deal. He'll make some money because that belt will be leveraged for someone. There'll be some kid that wants that belt, and then almost it's the highest bidder. Okay, you want the belt? What are we going to fight? Pay me. So I'm happy that Maxi Hughes now will get a chance to make some good money. You never know where that can go to. Buy a house, buy 2 houses, and enjoy the rest of his career. I like them stories.
I do. I think Hughes is kind of like the example of just don't let a loss define you. He's got 5 losses. Yeah. And
crazy.
Look, he just kept working hard, working at it. And look at him now. It's just a great little story. Moving on from the show. All right, we got to talk about Chris Eubank Jr. He's been back in the headlines. Obviously having a go at Billy Joe Saunders. It's just, those two are just, even if they never fight, the entertainment we get from those two back and forth is crazy. And look, we got your mate CRB in the building. Addy, will there be a part 2 of AJ Fury documentary? Your best buddy follows you everywhere, man. He follows you everywhere.
To be fair, it's the funny thing is about
he's cool
CRB,
though. He's cool.
He's so cool. Like, we follow each other on Instagram as well. And I think for most people, and even myself, when I first started following him, I thought this guy is such a troll, but he's actually not. He's just a funny guy. He always sends me positive stuff, positive message on Instagram. So I definitely have a lot of love for him, regardless of all the bullshit he says about AJ Fury. I have a lot of love.
He was 100% spot on though when he said it wasn't going to happen.
He was, and that's why I take the L. I take the L. That's why I don't even respond to him anymore. I just take the L. The L was big. I take the punch and move on.
Appreciate the £5 CRB. But no, Eubank Jr. said if he fights Billy Joe Saunders, now I had to laugh at this, that he's the A side if they ever have a fight. And it's like, just to put it in context, Billy Joe fought in front of 70-odd thousand fans in a world title unification against the pound-for-pound best, number 1 star in boxing. Eubank Jr. fought Marcus Morrison on an undercard.
Yeah.
Thoughts on him saying that? Or do you think that he believes that, or is that just trolling?
I'm not quite sure what goes on in Chris Eubank Jr.'s mind anymore. I have to be honest with you, this is brutally honest. Like, coming up, I was a massive fan of Chris Eubank just because I like the arrogance. I don't mind the arrogant style. I like it. And I actually thought there was a time when he could be that second biggest star behind AJ. I genuinely thought if someone asked me 5-6 years ago who's going to be the next star, fit out the O2 arena, be in those big fights, I'd have said, you know what? Chris Eubank Jr.'s got a chance just because he's got the name. And when he gets in the ring, yes, he's not the greatest boxer in terms of ability, but he goes to fight. Like, he doesn't play about. When he's in the ring, he goes to kill. And I like that. But the fact is, his career has stalled so much. I'm tired of listening to him. Like, I feel like I could play that. What he said could have been copy and paste from 4 years ago. Like 4 years ago, he was saying Canelo, GGG, Billy Joe Saunders. 4 years later, Canelo, GGG, Billy Joe Saunders. And you kind of get tired of it. And you know, it's not like a Demetrius Andre, because people might say that's quite similar. Andre is desperate to fight those guys, but Andre doesn't fall as low as Chris Eubank Jr. does. Like, Andre's not fighting a Marcus Morrison type. The fact that Chris Eubank Jr. is fighting this guy he's got coming up is a disgrace. It's actually bordering on a disgrace. And then to, in the same sentence, say, no, I think I'd match up one against Canelo. How can you go from that guy to Canelo? Like, I'm off the Chris Eubank Jr. bandwagon, and I don't mind admitting that, because he's done nothing since he beat James DeGale. Yeah, and let's be honest, James DeGale retired after, so that shows you where James DeGale was. Do you know what I mean? Come on.
It's crazy when you look at him though, because I was like you. I thought he's pay-per-view. Like, even if he's not technically the best, Eubank Jr. is pay-per-view, because even people I knew who didn't like boxing knew him. And he got to like the peak when he fought George Groves. And even though we lost to George Groves, he was a good fighter. It's like, it's weird almost. It's just like everything fizzled out. Like, that was 3 years ago, and it's just, he's been literally in the wilderness since then. Even the DeGale fight didn't get him out of it. And it's just
Chris
like, what's going on?
He's gonna wake up one day, and look, I hope this isn't the case, because I wish him the best of luck. But I almost feel like this is the fight that's gonna wake up one day and be 34 and think, Jesus, what happened? Yeah. Because Chris Eubank Jr. has been around now for a lot of years. I remember the Legend Center fights. I even remember the fight with Tim Booth. He's been around for a long time. And it's like, what is going on? He was supposed to go to America and do this PBC thing. And it was like, okay, he's going to be the next guy to fight Charlo. That never happened. It's just like, there's just constant excuses. And I'm actually, like, even this one was supposed to be, or rumored to be, Murata. And obviously it looks like we're going to get GGG versus Murata. But why fall so far down? Like, I don't get it. And let's be honest, he can campaign at 168 or 160. So there's no excuse. There's at least 10 good guys at 168, 10 good guys at 160. But yet we're still getting this level of opponent. And yeah, and I know what they're going to say. They're going to say things like, we tried to make this fight, and you know, one more fight. You know, we'll see what happens in the summer. Yeah, I'm done.
They said they were going to do a pay-per-view after this Elbear fight. That has me kind of worried now who they're actually going to get in, because there's no real names at 160 other than, and it's not going to be Canelo or, you know, Triple G or someone like that. It has me worried now, like, who are they actually going to put? Are we going to go back to the ITV days, like Reynolds Quinlan on pay-per-view? Do you remember that? Are we going to go back to that, or? Oh no,
I genuinely believe that they're going to try, because I just think it's going to be Kell Brook. And I'm not saying that as though that's something I've heard, but I know that something that Callie Sowland was kind of talking about 7-8 months ago, maybe about a year ago. The Kell Brook Amir Khan things have started to stall. It felt like something was happening with the Kell Brook Amir Khan thing about a month ago. Did you realize how it's almost gone quiet? Yeah. It's almost gone quiet again. So, and if you're Kell Brook, as much as I don't think he should fight at 160, you're Kell Brook, you're thinking, you know what? I just need one more big payday. Because Kell Brook can still have fights and make good money, but nothing like a Chris Eubank Jr. or an Amir Khan pay-per-view. And if it ain't going to be Amir Khan, Kell Brook would fight a Chris Eubank Jr. at 160. He would. In fact, Kell Brook would prefer to fight at 160. And if it's Chris Eubank Jr., he'll think that he's got a chance. So it wouldn't shock me if it's Kell Brook versus Chris Eubank Jr. And the worst thing about it, G-Man, is that fight would do numbers. Not great numbers. I'm not going to say it will do exactly over here. Maybe not stateside, but over here, that does the O2 arena comfortably, and it does good numbers, so it wouldn't shock me.
I wouldn't like to see it though. I mean, like Eubank Jr.
Nor would I.
Just, oh man, not the way Kell Brook looked against Crawford, and Eubank Jr. Bigger, stronger, throws more. I wouldn't like to see it. And I mean, coming from someone who was a big Kell Brook fan, years ago when he was IBF champion. And I have those memories still of Kell Brook. And it was, for me, it was sad seeing him against Crawford. Do you not feel that? It just looked,
it hurt me.
It just looked like an old guy just wanting. Do you ever see like the old, like a 40-year-old footballer trying to play with the under-20s? Just say, look what I used to be like back in the day. And they just can't even, they might have been better back in the day, but they just can't do it now. It's like that.
It hurt a lot, that fight, just because he looks in great shape as well. I mean, I remember looking at him thinking, oh, he's in fantastic shape. But there's always that, and I hate to use it with Kell because I'm a big Kell fan, but maybe it was a Ferrari no engine, right? So on the outside, it looks just amazing. But inside, when you're trying to cut that much weight, and the funny thing is, being around the fighters in the zone, you actually get to see them in the hotel when they are cutting weight. And it makes you have a bit more respect for them because these guys are like walking zombies. Like there's nothing of them. Honestly, there's, we're at dinner, they can't eat. They're not drinking water. They're trying to cut weight. And you're like, how are you operating like this? So for Kell to make 147, yes, he looks amazing on the scales, but there was nothing in the tank. Nothing whatsoever. And he got caught with like a 1-inch Bruce Lee punch that a few years ago, Kell swallows. It's nothing. And that's when I know he's done. He's especially done at 147. But I do think there's going to be one or two more just because maybe he didn't make enough money through the big fights in his career. Maybe he is trying to get that money towards the end of his career now. Maybe, I'm not quite sure. It's
a weird one because I don't understand like why, because he made good money from Golovkin, made good money from Kell Brook, had the Crawford fight. For me, it's like what more do you need? Like I could understand you having an easy knockover to go out with a win, but why do you need another big fight for? What's the reason? He already made enough money unless he's done something with it that we don't know. It's just, I hate seeing that with fighters. Like I hate seeing fighters staying way past, as you say, get in, get rich, get out.
Yeah, it must be weird though. Like, even though you're past your best, it must be strange when someone says, okay, and slaps £1 million check on the table and says one more. Oh. It must be weird to say, nah. That must be difficult unless you are very, very comfortable. And hopefully he's spent his money wisely, invested it in properties and businesses. But if you haven't done that, and most young kids don't do that, and when someone kind of slaps a check on the table, that must be difficult. You must think, you know what? Yeah, I can do one more. I can get in shape. And I saw Kell at fight camp, and I can already tell that Kell's starting to train because there was no double chin. He looked like he already looked in shape. And I was thinking, something's going on behind the scenes here. He's staying in shape for a reason. So it wouldn't shock me. Not if it's just one more, by the way. It wouldn't shock me with Kell if it's not 2, 3, 4 more. It wouldn't shock me.
I'd be 4 fights, man. That really would.
Dude, if I saw him, wouldn't shock me, dude.
That is crazy. Speaking of
Kell would say, Kell would say, I got beat by Crawford. So Kell would say, I got beat by the pound for pound number 2 or 3 in the world. And that will be in his mind. Like Amir Khan, I got beat by Crawford. The other guys aren't going to be Crawford. So wherever I'm going, it's going to be lower. So I think he'll think that. And I'm not trying to say he'll fight 4 killers, but I think it will be a good fight. And then almost like what Katie Taylor kind of does, where she then drops down to Jennifer Han, then it's a Soon. Yeah. Then it's a Tasha Jonas. He might do that type stuff.
That actually I could see. And you're right there when you could say, like, right, I lost to Crawford in 3 rounds, but he's in a different stratosphere to these other guys. If I'm losing to him, I can still hang with Keith Thurman. I can still hang with your Dennis Ugas or someone like that in the welterweight division. So I can see where you're going. I can see where you're going with that. And Kell Brook is still a name. Like, if he went to Sheffield tomorrow and he was fighting just a run-of-the-mill 154-pound contender, he'd sell out Sheffield Arena easily.
I would love to see if he can do that without 2 things. Without the Matchroom machine and without the Sky machine. Like, I always associate Kell with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and Sky and that whole machine, and it's a big machine. Could Kell do that now without them? Not sure. It'd be interesting to see if he can.
Sky done great work with him. They did. Like, the whole time, because Kell was one of the original Matchroom guys. So Sky really brought Kell Brook as much as Eddie Hearn did along, and it would be interesting to see that. Bramall Lane, Sheffield United, they would be his games, Kell Brook. There you go. So you take that away. I wonder what would happen. Speaking of Sky, I want to ask your opinion. The new lineup with Sky, with everything, with Boxer, Sauerland, the shows they're putting on. the stable of fighters. What is your thoughts on it? What do you think of it? Do you think it's early, so some of them we need to wait and see how, because it will improve. But just straight out the bat, what's your thoughts on the stable so far?
I always feel like it was going to be difficult because you kind of look around and you're like, okay, who's actually out there to take? You look at what Frank's got, and you look at what Eddie's got. And you're like, okay, who's vacant and free? So that they almost cleaned up what the others maybe either didn't want or what was available to take. It's almost a mishmash of everything, isn't it? Let's take a few American fights. Oh, Saulen, what are you doing? Can we take what you're doing with Wasserman? Boxer, are you available? So it's almost a mishmash of everything. But what I will say is, I'm happy that Sky come out fighting because everyone was like, "Oh, it's the death of boxing on Sky." And Sky like, "Oh, 1 second, it's not. We know we're still going to give this a go." And I like that they've got some names. Lewis Ritson surprised me. I thought Eddie would have kept him. I was like, Eddie wants to do stuff in the Northeast. You surely stick with Lewis Ritson. Hughie Fury, say what you want, but after the Maris Vac fight, that was quite entertaining. You never know. And with Savannah Marshall, I guess the end game is Clarissa Shields. So, and I was even shocked to know that Caroline Dubois turned pro. So look,
yeah, that was a head scratcher for me as well. You would have thought her on Daniel make sense.
Yeah, I thought either she was going to go with Frank Warren or she was going to stay pro until 2024. So, obviously, Paris Olympics. So I'm surprised by that. But look, good luck to them, man. Honestly, good luck to them. Is it the biggest and best stable? No, it's not going to be because you've got Matchroom and you've got Queensbury. So it was always going to be the third best. But at least we get to see some of the top-ranked fights, right? I mean, we've been begging for that just because, I've had to bloody sign up for this Fight TV nonsense. At least now I can say, okay, they're on Sky now and they're good. So I expect a few more will sign with them. There is a few rumors about other girls, especially going over. Like boxers almost going to be the home, I'm hearing, for female boxing. So we'll see what happens. But so far, it's okay. It's nothing more than that. It's okay.
I remember the early days of Matchroom, though. When you look back, they did Prize Fighter. That was literally Matchroom's early days. Like their stable would have Tommy Coyle versus someone in the main event. And like Tommy Coyle, no disrespect, was always British level. So when you look at where it started, where it went, it can only you're always going to have growing pains with a new promotional outfit. People don't know what to expect. So I say just give them. I like their first card. Like you say what you want about Eubank Jr, Sven Ocon, or Sven Elber, but you got David Avanesian on the undercard as well in a decent little scrap. So they're getting a few names there that we know of at least, just to kind of get the kind of juices flowing a bit.
It's funny, I spoke to someone at DAZN about that, and I was like, Matchroom are trying to be obviously, DAZN in America, it's going to be tough to crack that. It's just, in fact, I almost feel like it's not impossible, but the big ones in America, PBC, Top Rank, simply ain't going to work with DAZN. It's always tough. So if you can't crack America, you have to dominate the European market. Yeah. So for me, I think it's a big mistake when I see Avanesian not on DAZN. I think it's a massive mistake because you're trying to sell Conor Benn fight, and that's a potential opponent 2 fights down. I think it's a massive mistake when I don't see Hughie Fury on DAZN, because I look at guys like Fabio Wardley and Babbage maybe, and I think, that's a perfect matchup. So I almost feel like Eddie's missed a beat here. I don't know what happened with negotiations, but for me, every single British boxer, Eddie should try and sign up. If they're not with Frank, they should be with Matchroom. And I feel like he's let a few go there that I feel like he's made mistakes.
I definitely think that as well. And I think that, like, when you look at what the DAZN are doing now, like this Friday, Saturday, there's a show on in Spain. You've got Filip Hrgovic, and these are on the DAZN. Filip Hrgovic in Austria. There's plenty of shows there to get like some of these, if you want some UK fighters out there, you can. If you want to get like Avanesian fought in Spain plenty of times. Like he's known over there from the Kerman Laharaga fight. Why wouldn't you just put him in the main event on one of them shows? The Spanish already know him over there. I think he has some Spanish relations as well. It just makes sense to me. It was like you just let him go, and after what? Like after he's proven how good he is, Josh Kelly, Laharaga.
That makes no sense for me. So you beat Josh Kelly, beat him on a match from show. I'm sorry, you've got to keep Avanesian. You've got to keep him. You really have to. Not even aside from of a Conor Benn one, just because Avanesian is a fringe world fighter now. So I forget the fact that you could have him versus Conor Benn. You could have him versus anyone in the States. He'll make a good B-side So I'm a bit surprised by it, if I'm honest with you. And not only that, but Matchroom and DAZN eventually want to do a show every single week. In order to do a show every single week and they're not super thin, you need a stacked stable.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime I see Brits elsewhere, like with Sky, I'm like, why are they not with Matchroom and DAZN? I feel like Eddie should sign everyone up, and maybe that doesn't make sense in the business world. But I feel like you can't let fighters like Savannah Marshall and Huey Fury and Lewis Ritson and Richard Riakporhe go. I just feel like it doesn't make sense.
It's funny, you were saying about like some of the younger fighters coming up. I heard rumors. Now you're the man going to ask about this. You can either say yes or no. That they're looking to get remember the next gen shows that Sky used to do in Eddie Hearn. Is there talk of that possibly coming back, or is that kind of being really?
No, there's definitely talks of it coming back. Absolutely.
That's where you need those little, those new amateurs turning pro.
Yeah,
that's literally
right?
where you build their names by having them on a show like that. Like I remember they were never, and
then it's not so much pressure.
They were never the most competitive shows, but they were always like good to see these guys get a run out, wasn't it? And you really got like to see what they were all about. I miss all that now. That's one thing I have to say. Like I miss. They might not have been the most competitive fights, but they were always good to see, like up and comers.
Yeah, and I think like the model with Matchroom and DAZN, especially now the price has gone up, is that for me you almost need like what we would call a Saturday night card, right? A Saturday night card, which is maybe headlined by something, nothing major, maybe a British title fight, European title fight. So for me, in an ideal world for DAZN for a month, you'd have one pay-per-view type style show every month, like big, headlined by Dillian White or an AJ or someone of that level, and then you'd have a next gen show, and then you would have 2 Saturday night cards. And I feel like someone like a Campbell Hatton could benefit massively from being on a next gen card and then make his way to a Saturday night card, and then eventually you're on the pay-per-view portion of an AJ card. That's kind of how I would play it. Yeah.
100%. I think Campbell, I just want to say thanks to Karma, by the way. She said, don't stop the conversation, but you gave me 20 quid, so I am. Thank you for that. I think
that's my people. I want 20%.
She's naming us both our 2 favorites, so there you go. 10 each. There you go. Campbell Hatton, right? When I see him on these big shows, that's so much pressure for someone not even 20 years old, never had a big amateur background. Having him on little next gen shows, perfect. Having him on AJ's undercard at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium, I think that's a bad move. Just because the kid, how do you know he won't freeze? Like what? Like he's been lucky enough they've been small shows, but what if you got him in there with someone with a bit of ability, came to fight, and he just saw, holy shit, I'm in front of X amount of thousand in this massive stadium, no experience about it like that. I just think that's a bad idea. I think having him on smaller shows, bring him along slowly, just get him used to it, and then, as you say, Saturday night, then onto maybe a pay-per-view show.
Yeah, it's the Campbell Hatton thing is obviously it sparks a lot of conversations, right? But in one instance, is that although he's fighting on the AG undercard, I can tell you now, when he fights, there'll probably be about 2,000 people in there. So it's almost like, you're on the AG undercard, but no one's going to be in the stadium at that time because I think he's one of the first fights on. I think he kind of, after this one, he's got to be the next gen stuff. It has to be. So he can quietly work behind the scenes where not everyone's tweeting and talking about it and just get his work done. Because I almost feel like there's a lot that needs to be done. He's such a nice kid. Trust me. Like I saw him at in Leeds, and he's so nice, and he wants to learn, he wants to soak it all in. And I think if you were to ask him, like if it was up to him, I genuinely don't think he would want to be on these big shows yet. I think he would want to be on the big shows when he's ready to get on the big shows. So I think he'd want to showcase his skills and abilities when he knows that, yep, you know what, good to go. I think he would prefer, but he is signed to AJ's 258 management, and that's why he's on the big shows, and that's why he's getting pushed so much, because AJ and the team are maybe pushing him a lot. So I don't know, maybe the team needs to kind of have a look and decide, what's right for his own development, because it's not only his own development, it's his own mental health as well. because I know what it's like when I get a bit of stick on social media, and I'm a grown man of 40, and it hurts me. So I can't imagine what it's like for a young kid to go on social media after his fight and see all the bullshit that's there. So they've got to look at it not just from, whether or not he's going to make it as a boxer, but just him as a person and what he's doing for his mental health when he sees all the abuse he gets. And maybe they've got to kind of look and assess how they're pushing him.
It's a lot of pressure on a kid. Barely is he even 20 years old yet?
I think he might have just touched 20.
All that pressure, and I think the fact that I think that a lot of casual fans, they really do tend to forget that just because you're Ricky Hatton's son doesn't mean you have the same background as he did. Ricky Hatton was an extensive amateur. He was able to go and fight at a decent level straight off the bat. I wonder, do some people think that, hang on, it's like, why is he fighting guys with no wins and 8 losses? This is Ricky Hatton's son. Why isn't he fighting better opposition? That could play on the kid's mind, why aren't they? And then, here's how that goes. Maybe bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah, and I still think for him as well, they've got an issue whereby even if they find him a guy that's had 20 losses, let's say, for example, he fights a guy that's 4-20, which is kind of what a lot of guys do coming up. He's still fighting a guy that's had 24 fights. Do you know what I mean? I mean, like, the guy might have lost 20 times, but that guy's been in the ring 24 times and is a man. He's got man strength, knows how to survive, and knows how to box. So what do? Do you put him in there with a guy that's had 24 losses, or do you put him in with a guy that's still on his debut? Like, they've got a lot of decisions to make because, look, we're not done. When we see Campbell Hatton, there's a lot to work on. Like,
you're telling me
there's almost too much to work on. Like, I honestly, this sounds stupid, and you can't do this. You can't go backwards like this. But I'd almost say, fuck this. We need to go back and we need to be an amateur again. Like I almost feel like there should be 2 more years as an amateur, so he can learn his craft better. But they've made the decision, and this is the decision they're going to have to stick with.
No, I think they're like that. Speaking of AJ's management, right? I'm gonna put you on the spot with this. AJ's next fight is on Sky Sports. I know. AJ's next fight is on Sky Sports. Apparently, that's the last fight in the Sky deal. If you were in AJ's team, what would you be saying? DAZN, Sky. Next, moving forward, DAZN, Sky.
Well, look, let's be very real with this answer. Let's be very real. Sky has made AJ a very, very, very rich man. Let's just get the facts out there. And sometimes some people will say, if it isn't broke, don't fix it. If it isn't broke, don't fix it. AJ's fights will be on Sky pay-per-view. Nothing changes. You know what I mean? Nothing changes for AJ and Sky. You know what I mean? That relationship will still be the same. AJ's not going to fight on regular Saturday night boxing. He's a Sky fighter. And with Sky, that relationship's a good one, right? I mean, they've done some ridiculous events. Ridiculous. But if you're DAZN, in order to really grow yourself in this UK market, there's no one bigger to grow it than AJ.
No.
There's no one. If I'm AJ, that's a tough one, If I'm AJ, what do? I stick with where I am.
Do you think if he did go to DAZN, that would mean pay-per-views on DAZN?
No.
Really?
No, I don't think it will. I mean, it's not pay-per-view in America with Canelo. And Canelo, when Canelo was there fighting on DAZN, it was still what? I don't know how much it is a month in America. $20?
I think
they could have gone to $100 for a Canelo fight with Billy Joe Saunders. They stuck with the $20 and you kind of get what you want. I don't think they do. I think the signups would be so incredible if AJ were to go over. You wouldn't have to do a pay-per-view event. I really don't.
It would be absolutely amazing. Like, just imagine AJ fights. Imagine, look, I'm playing devil's advocate here. He loses to Alexander Usyk, a rematch, and it's competitive. A rematch on DAZN. Subscriptions would just literally, the server would probably break or crash.
You know what the thing is? As much as AJ will be the needle mover for DAZN, it's not even that right now. I feel like DAZN need a guaranteed Chisora fight. They need a Dillian White's got obviously this fight in October. Is that on DAZN? I'm not quite sure. It's not been announced yet whether that's because I'm not quite sure if Dillian White's the Sky fighter still or DAZN. So they just need one of those. Those for the last 5 years have been the guys that have kind of done big numbers over here. They need a Chisora fight on the zone, O2 Arena against someone. Just something to really push it. Like they've got the good card coming up in October in Liverpool. Liam Smith versus Anthony Fowler. Really, really good card. Really good card for us hardcore fans.
Mm-hmm.
When I speak to a casual fan and I tell them, you know, I've got Williamson versus Cheeseman, they're like, what?
Who's that?
Who? Yeah, exactly. I could tell them Chisora versus anyone. As long as I say Chisora, they're sold.
Yeah.
I could say Dillian White versus anyone, they're sold. So I think AJ is obviously the cash cow that they want to get, but I think it's important to lock down Chisora and Dillian White first.
Lock down as many heavyweights as you can. Heavyweights bring viewers. They bring viewers. Like Fight Camp Week 2 was the best for me because of the heavyweight fights. That is just, I think it's like that for all boxing. It's just something about them. They just bring that excitement that, like, I love all weight divisions. I love watching like welterweights, you know, with their slick movement. I love watching super flies throw 1,000 punches a fight. Something about heavyweights and the punching power is just something different, isn't it?
Something different. And when you got heavyweights that have personalities like Dillian White and Chisora have, then it's even better. It really is. It's honestly, it's even better. Look, do you remember when Eddie first got the DAZN deal and went to America and he felt like he was trying to sign everyone?
Yeah.
Remember that? If I'm Eddie, that's what I'm trying to do here now. And I don't know how deep the pockets are, but I'm trying to sign Lyndon Arthur. I'm trying to sign Anthony Yard. I'm literally trying to sign everyone possible to make good fights. And I feel like that hasn't quite happened yet. Like like he hasn't stolen anyone from Frank. And I'm like, why has that not happened yet? Like, are we trying to move the needle here or not? Like, I'm trying to look at Sonny Edwards. And people might laugh at all these names, but these are the names. I'm trying to get them all. I'm literally trying to get everyone. And it hasn't quite happened yet. So I still think Eddie and DAZN have some work to do in order to fully say we've conquered this UK market. Because, you know, I was at a Frank Warren fight recently in Birmingham and, you know, some good kids there. Kakachi looked fantastic. In fact, Kakachi looked better than fantastic. I'm trying to get Kakachi. I'm trying to get him. I'm trying to set up a fight with Joe Cordina. Do you know what I mean? These are the kind of things that I think they should be doing. I really do. Joe Joyce has just signed another deal with Frank. I'm like, why did you not get Joe Joyce? Things like that. If the money's there, sign everyone. If not, then it might not be as easy as I thought it would be.
No, and I was kind of disappointed at that as well. It's like you're seeing the same names. I would have imagine like a Yard signing. The first you'd be Boazzi or something. Like, you'd start just playing on your mind what could be made, and it's like, what am I gonna make now? It's kind of rinse and repeat almost. Like, don't get me wrong, I'm happy we're seeing the domestic fights like on this card in Liverpool. I think that card is going to be absolutely brilliant. Yeah, it's all full of domestic car fights, and they're all good, entertaining fighters. I think that JJ Metcalf versus Kieran Conway is going to steal that show that night. That's going to steal the show. That's going to steal it, I reckon. That's a gem that no one's talking about. That's going to be amazing. But yeah, I think that he just, I'm still holding judgment because it's not been that long. You got to give him, I suppose, some growing pains. But like this time next year,
how long has it been? It's been a long time. The DAZN and Matchroom have actually been quite. It's been. What's it been? A couple of years?
It's been a couple of years.
Matchroom?
But I kind of look at it in a sense of now it's just the DAZN and Matchroom. No longer Sky is not the middleman anymore.
Okay. That I understand. But what I don't want is a situation we get in America where there's almost too many broadcasters and we don't get the fights. So you speak to American fight fans. Although American fight fans still get some good fights, they don't get the ones that they really want. I want it to be under one stable here in this country, a bit like the UFC. So I know every single week there's a fucking great card. Like every single week is going to be something a bit special. Like, you know, you could get Callum Johnson, Boazzi right now. I want that. Do you know what I mean? And right now, it still feels like, you know, if I was to make my dream matchups, I can't because I know one's on Sky. And now Sky's involved. So now we've got 3 broadcasters, 4 if you want to count Mick Hennessy, who's got a fight card coming up, I think, this weekend in Coventry. There's almost too much going on over here now.
I know, and the problem is, right, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn ain't go.
Is he gone? Gman.
Sorry about that.
Yo, what happened to you? Jeez. I thought that was me for a second.
Screen just went. Look, minor little glitch. Main thing was to stay alive. But and funny enough, I never have issues with these. The one time I do is when I have a guest. Of course, always
and the pressure. It's the pressure. It's the pressure.
As long as it doesn't go, if you ever ask me on TalkSport or anything like that, if we're doing something, that's what I'm always afraid of. That if we're ever on TalkSport and something goes wrong, I'm like, oh shit, makes me.
I'm thoroughly enjoying this. This is good stuff.
It's been good fun. Like I think I only said I will do 20 minutes. It'd be grand. We're 45 minutes deep in, and 117 people in the building.
Oh, there's what? We've got how many people in the building?
117 in the building.
117 are watching this right now.
117 are watching me and you talk boxing.
Oh,
117
shit.
On a Wednesday night, and England are playing.
That oh my god, that is mental. You know why I can't see it? Because I don't know if everyone knows, but I'm using my camera and my laptop's over here. So I can't even see the screen. So I've not even seen any of the comments come in. Has anyone been rude in the comment section?
Everyone's been good in the comments, but the problem is when you're doing a chat like me and you tend to not read the comments. The only comments I'm noticing are the ones who are giving me super chats, and I appreciate that. But as for the rest, I'm just kind of like, sorry if I missed your comment.
Oops.
But one fight I want to ask you about is happening this weekend, and it's controversial. Oscar Valdez. What are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the situation? Bearing in mind, we lost the female fighter last weekend, 18 years old, in a tragic. What are your thoughts on this going ahead?
It's a disgrace, isn't it? It's actually a fucking disgrace. Oscar Valdez. You know, to be fair, look, there's a red flag over that whole stable. Let's be honest. I mean, Martinez, red flag, Canelo, red flag, and now Oscar Valdez, red flag. And some people might say fentanyl, was a diuretic. Diuretics can be used as masking agents. I mean, we know that. If Valdez have red flagged this, I believe the Valdez people know a bit more about this than we do. They red flagged it for a reason. And the fact that the commission where this fight is taking place have decided to not go with VADA, but go with a ruling by WADA, the World Anti-Doping Association, just tells you how fucked up boxing is. And then the worst thing about this is that I was waiting for a statement from the WBC thinking, okay, surely they're not going to sanction this fight. Obviously, Oscar Valdez has been a super featherweight champion because of obviously their relationship with VADA and the clean program, but they've sanctioned the fight. And my fear, and the person that we've not heard from, so we've heard from Oscar Valdez, we've heard from VADA, we've heard from WADA, we've heard from the WBC, we've not heard from Robson Conceição. He's the one I fear for in this. And really and truly, the fight should be cancelled. But for Robson Conceição, this is his one chance to become a world champion. This guy's an Olympian, very good boxer. It's his one chance to get big money. He's not going to step out of this fight. He's not going to want the fight to be cancelled. But this fight should be canned. It's a joke. It's a joke. And looks, I know what I believe, and I believe that Oscar Valdez is cheated. He's cheated, and he got caught. And now, as with everyone that gets caught, it's a case of I've never cheated before in my life. I've been tested 30 times. Motherfucker, you've been caught and you've got caught, and you're still allowed to fight because boxing is full of shit.
Do you know what really irritates me the most, right? And the double standards. Like I see Mike Coppinger tweet that, what was it, Benavidez about 2 or 3 years ago got popped for testing positive for cocaine, which is probably having on a night out, wasn't in training camp for a fight, gets stripped. All right. Now he should have been, but he should have been. He was stripped, rightfully so.
Yeah.
This is a guy going into a fight with a PED that gives him, as far as I'm concerned, makes you make the weight easier. You can rehydrate more. You have an advantage.
Fact.
What's the difference?
Yeah, it's in the title, performance enhancing. If it helps you in any way, shape, or form, it's enhancing. Making weight, again, I've been lucky enough to be around people now that have made weight, so I appreciate it even more. I've seen these boxers that weigh in and look amazing. I've seen them on the floor an hour before the weigh-ins, and they can barely move because it's so hard to make to drop the last pound of water, and they've got abs, they're chiseled, and you look at them thinking, where's the pound going to come off your body? So if everyone's saying, it's only to help him make weight, making weight is the hardest thing in boxing. It's ridiculous. So the fact he's got an advantage in making weight is already a form of cheating. And it's incredible. Like, honestly, the whole thing's incredible. Like, I don't understand weed and what weed can do to you. I don't smoke weed in my life. But there's that American sprinter, Sha'Carri Richardson, who just after the Olympic trials got caught, like they found that she had smoked weed and she couldn't go to the Olympics. They stopped her from going to the Olympics for smoking weed. And now there might be more backstory to it, but imagine that. Olympics is every 4 years. It's the biggest thing an athlete can do. And they stopped her. And there's Oscar Valdez, who's been caught doing something, and BARDA have caught him. So the drug agency you use, sorry to go on here, but the drug agency you use to catch people have caught someone, and you still said, no, fuck it, we're okay, let him still fight. What? How does that even make sense? How does that make sense?
Absolutely ridiculous. And do you remember a few years ago?
Sorry, you know, another thing.
I'll let you finish.
You know, this crazy thing. I remember when he fought Miguel Bachel, and I've been following Miguel Bachel's career for years. And I remember thinking, Oscar Valdez isn't beating Miguel Bachel.
No, I was like that as well.
Miguel Bachel, too big, too mean, too strong, too everything. He broke him down. Huh? And I remember thinking, whoa, like shit, what's going on in this camp? And all of a sudden, this has happened. And in his first defense, this has happened.
I was going to say that puts a stain, because I was like the same with Miguel Berchel. I was like, Oscar Valdez ain't beating this guy. This is a case of matter of time, not a case of can Berchel. This is like matter of time. Berchel's going to beat this guy black and blue. And to see what he did, I was like, Jesus. I was like, maybe he just needed. I was like, what's going on with Valdez? Because he went from going life and death with Scott Quigg to just destroying Miguel Berchel. I was like, wow, that's damn. And then we see this, it kind of makes you think, right, fair enough.
And to be honest, it should make you think, to be honest. I mean, look, I love Canelo. Like, I've made hundreds of videos saying this is ridiculous. But I've always said there'll always be that red asterisk next to his name because of the clenbuterol. I mean, I saw Gennady Golovkin hit that motherfucker with the best right hand in the world. And this is a Golovkin that's been breaking people in half. You know, breaking. Everyone goes down when they fight Golovkin. Canelo barely blinked. And I remember thinking, he's not human. Like, we've got to a point with Canelo, and sorry to move on to Canelo, we've got to a point with Canelo where everyone's like, oh, I don't know, you know, he might beat Beterbiev. He might beat Beterbiev. Like, we've got to a point with Canelo where it's like, go up to cruiserweight. Like, that's how crazy it is with Canelo now. Like, no one, you can't hurt him. Honestly, Canelo has just damaged two of our unbeaten fighters just like that. He broke Billy Joe Saunders' face, and he gave Callum Smith another arm, and Callum Smith ran to 175. Like, no. I'm sorry. No, I'm using what my mum gave me, my eyes. I've watched boxing for too many years to look at people and think there's something going on out here.
Oh, stop. Canelo, I think me and you talked about him when we were like, it's mad the way we have to name people who are like divisions way above him to just even think, well, he might be Canelo, but I'm not even sure about that. In terms of 168, look, I don't think Caleb Plant has a snowball's chance in hell of beating Canelo.
And imagine that. So basically, we don't think an unbeaten champion who's slick, can move, can punch a little bit, has a snow. Like, you're basically saying you don't even give him a 10% chance of winning.
I think he's going to get lifted off the ground.
See?
That's just the way.
Mad, it's mad. Honestly, it's mad. Honestly, it's crazy. And look, this isn't a Canelo thing because, look, I mean, he's done drug tests recently in his past. This is an Oscar Valdez situation, and Oscar Valdez, unfortunately, has failed a drug test. And that should be it. Failed, okay, fight's off. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, we shouldn't even be having a conversation about him fighting. Me and you should be talking about, okay, how long a ban should he get? That's the conversation we should be having now. We should be saying, all right, it's diuretic, it's a first-time offense, 2 years? That's what we should be doing. But yet this guy is fighting in 3 days' time. And not only is he fighting, he's going to make high six figures, maybe seven figures. So what's the punishment here? What is the punishment? There is none. He hasn't been punished. He got the WBC have given him a 12-month suspended sentence, like a warning. Like, anything else happens in the 12 months, you're in trouble. What's happened?
Nothing. Look at Miller. when he tested positive against AJ right before that fight. He was meant to fight a year later. The WBC, and he was caught with serious, like, you had to inject some of that stuff. And it's like, he misses a year of action during 2020 when everyone was missing action anyway. Where's like what deters you? Because if you're a world level fighter and you're thinking, if I test positive, I'll miss 6 months of action. But sure, I only fight twice a year anyway. Well, what deter? How are you going to get like these fighters deterred from taking it? They need to make an example.
Can I be honest with you? I mean, we're digging up boxing here just because it's a sport we love, and obviously, right now we're on a boxing journal. We're talking boxing. I think every sport has issues. Honestly, I watch sport now, and I'm like, I see people do crazy shit, especially in athletics, sprinting. I'm like, I don't know about that. You know what I mean? I mean, even football, basketball. I mean, look at basketball. You got guys that are 6'8", 6'9", 250, 60 pounds, and they're fucking dunking and jumping and running around. And I'm like, oh, get the fuck out of here. I'm like, oh, come on, man. Really? So I think every sport's got a problem, but the only difference between those and the sport that we love is the sport we love, the hurt business.
Exactly.
So I don't give a fuck if, and this is, I don't know this true. I don't get what LeBron's taking. If LeBron is taking, I don't know. I'm just saying, I don't care because you're not hurting anyone. I mean, you might be hurting the pocket of someone that's putting a bet on, but you're not hurting anyone physically. I don't care what someone's doing in a 100-meter sprint. I care though, as you mentioned, a young Mexican girl died last week. I care because these fighters, 18 years old. I care because, I see fighters like Kevin Mitchell, who I loved growing up. And this guy now, he can barely string a couple of words together. This is it. So this is the hurt business. So the idea of hurting someone, and they all agree to it, but the idea of having an advantage while doing it, it's like bringing a gun to a knife fight, and I don't like that.
It literally is, as you said there, it's all well and good seeing someone jump 10 feet in the air and slamming the ball. Brilliant. Happy days. No one gets hurt. You're getting punched in the head, man. Like, that's just no. For fuck's sake, like, has to be something there has to be something in place. But I just want to say, someone gave a super chat, Punch Perfect Boxing. I know me and you have been on Jamie's channel. Excellent channel, isn't it?
Yes, honestly, Jamie's channel's great. He knows his stuff. I remember saying when I spoke to him, I was like, you're not quite sure. You go into someone's channel and like, I love boxing, and you're like, yeah, all right, let's see what you got. Because I'm not a hardcore. I know my boxing, but I'm not hardcore by any stretch of the imagination. And he knew his shit straight away. He knew his shit. He's obviously his favorite fighter. Sorry, is Ennis, Boots Ennis. Yes, so he knows his stuff.
Good choice. Good choice.
Yeah, I like that because you're not picking one that everyone picks. Like, you normally ask your favorite fighter, Canelo, Terence Crawford, AJ, Fury. He went a bit left with it, and I like that. So yeah, great channel. Everyone should subscribe. And like, I also said to him, like, once my studio eventually gets up and running, he'll be one of the first guests that I have on there.
Oh, big up to him. I've been on his channel as well. I had great fun doing it, and massive shout out to him. Great guy, great channel. And I love what he's doing, really getting all like us on, and it just must be great for him as well. Like, to have all of us on, it's great seeing people come together and actually just help him out as well.
I mean, come on, if you're getting a superstar like me on your channel, you're doing well.
Well, you get me as well on your channel, so
I mean, exactly.
He's had the two of us, two superstars. Right.
There you go, brother.
You've already at places. I'm going places. That's kind of the way. But I want to.
That's the spirit. That's the spirit you need.
I want to end it with this because we're going nearly an hour. I want your pick on this fight, AJ versus Usyk, because I'm going back and forth on this. Now, I'm going to just say it now because I want to do a prediction video, but I'm going to say it now. I've got AJ majority decision. What's that? Oladipo
majority decision.
Majority. I think he's going to get dropped at some stage.
Possibly. Look, I went to AJ's camp. I went to Sheffield, as you probably know, Gman. On Sunday, I was lucky enough to sit down and speak to AJ for a couple of hours. And I think the best thing was to speak to him off camera. So as much as I tried to make the interview as casual as possible, I almost feel like you can gauge when AJ goes into interview mode, as opposed to when AJ is having a conversation off camera. And off camera, he's super confident. Like he's almost like he will run through Usyk. Like that's his mindset. I don't think it will be that easy. I think it's going to be the toughest fight of his life. And I mean tougher than Klitschko. I mean, even, and it's going to sound dumb because Ruiz put him down 3 times. It's going to be tougher than that Because speaking to Tony Bellew said it wasn't necessarily the physical of Usyk, and obviously Usyk's not going to have more physicality than AJ. It's the mental. He said what Usyk was doing with his feet, the in and out, the constant pressure, like it's so difficult. You don't know if he's trying to just range find the jab or is he found it and he's already landed. He said mentally he felt fatigued after 3 rounds. It was like high level chess, and his brain couldn't keep up with the chess. And I think that's what AJ is going to have to work out. Like Usyk's going to show him physically not a lot, but he's going to do things that's going to be like, okay, whoa, okay. It's going to be a lot for AJ to kind of deal with. AJ has the equalizer in the sense that Usyk has never, ever been anywhere near a ring with someone as powerful as AJ. Not Chisora, not Joe Joyce, not Witherspoon, not no one, not Gassiev. If AJ lands on Usyk, trust me, Usyk's going to know it. I think sometimes we sleep on the fact that Usyk went all the way with Marius Bradis, and Bradis gave him a good fight. I think we sleep on the fact that he went all the way with Hunter. Hunter gave him a good fight. He's not like this guy is destroying people. I think new fans to Usyk will probably only remember the Gassiev and the Bellew fight. And yes, he looked amazing in those 2 fights. AJ's not Gassiev and AJ's not Bellew. AJ in himself is a very good boxer, powerful boxer, great jab, Olympic gold medalist himself. I think AJ gets this done, unanimous decision. But I think it will be close. I'm going like 8 rounds to 4.
I can't wait. I can't believe that we're 3 weeks away from this fight now. I think it's going to be
2 days.
Oh yeah, because I've gone back from last Sunday. Yeah, I think it's going to be. You're right, the toughest fight of his career from a mental point of view, and possibly physically. I expect him to have a rough moment and get dropped in this fight. I think he will. I think Usyk, the way he sets his punches up, his movement it can make you think he's going to throw one shot when he doesn't. And I can see AJ walking into left hand, and Usyk. People say like, oh, he doesn't hit. He hits hard. Ask Michael Hunter, guys like that.
Mate, Usyk can crack. I think the one thing about Usyk where maybe people think he can't crack is because he's always bouncing and he doesn't sit on the punches as much as if Usyk stops bouncing and just sits on them, Usyk can smack like a heavyweight. I mean, Usyk is a heavyweight. Let's stop the cruiserweight talk. This guy is not had a cruiserweight fight for what will be 3 years in November. He's a heavyweight. He's massive. And even Bellew said that. He says if he looks to, because I done the playback with Bellew where we're talking and watching the fight. You look at the size of Usyk's back. Usyk's a big man. He's massive. He's a big guy. He's not as tall as the giants nowadays. But, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, Usyk's a normal size heavyweight. You know what I mean? Usyk's bigger than a Mike Tyson. You know what I mean? He's a normal size. He's a big guy. So, I mean, Usyk, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be interesting to see what Usyk does with 65,000 fans booing him. I don't think it will faze him, to be honest with you. But I hope AJ wins. I think it'll be sad for me anyway, as a British Nigerian, if he loses. Obviously, I'm a big fan, and that means the undisputed fight probably isn't going to happen. So I hope, for the sake of the undisputed, it happens. If it doesn't, I think when we look back, it will be no shame that AJ lost Usyk when we look back. I think Usyk will cause anyone problems, including Tyson Fury.
100%. I don't know why, but I have this feeling. I don't know which one, but one of them, just something's telling me one of them is going to lose. Either AJ Usyk or Wilder Fury. I don't know why.
Anything. And look, no, you don't know why, because these are 4 very good heavyweights for different reasons. And that's what it should be. It should be a case of anyone could lose. If it's not, then we're watching almost predestined fights. And who wants to watch that? I want to watch a fight where there is jeopardy. And that's why we love boxing, because anything can happen. Most times it doesn't. Most times the favorite wins. But on the odd occasion, Zhu Can, Lee Wood, for example, on the odd occasion, you get a big upset. And that's what makes the sport. It really does. I mean, look how close Yard was to beating Kovalev. Boxing brings up those fights, and that's what I want. Wilder could ice Fury early. Everyone's laughing about his antics. Wilder could put Fury to sleep where he doesn't wake up for 2 minutes. Easy. He could. And Usyk could outbox AJ and embarrass him. It could happen. And that's why I'm interested in those fights. That's why when we're sitting down watching them, we have the butterflies in the stomach. That's why we love boxing.
Sir, 100%. And Wilder Fury, the more I think about it, the more excited I get. Because I just think Wilder, got battered second time. One right hand is all it takes. Literally,
Mate,
could get battered from pillar to
one.
post. One right hand.
Let me tell you now, half a right hand. It doesn't even need to land it right on the button. Like, it literally could skim and it's gonna hurt. I'm not joking. And he feels like he's fighting for vengeance. It's like a fucking kickboxing movie with Van Damme. Like, there's some sort of revenge mission in this. I tell you, it's like, what the fuck's going on? Like, he's fighting for all the ancestors and nothing. Calm down, it ain't that deep. But this guy's ready. He's ready to go to war. He looks a bit heavier. And look, you just don't know. With Wilder, anything could happen, honestly. But I don't think I've seen him so angry and confident like this. This is madness right now. So
I think
Fury could get knocked out.
I think the worst thing was letting this fight go as long as it did. I think like he should have ideally tried to get it done last year, Wilder Fury. But even July might have been better than now. I think the longer you leave Wilder, the harder this is going to be. I cannot see this fight being anything like the second. It's going to be competitive. There's going to be so much drama in it.
Hey, let's be real though. If AJ beats Usyk and Wilder wins, Wilder AJ is fucking enormous.
Yeah.
Like, that is enormous. 2 punches like that. So either way, whichever way, I mean, the worst thing, what you wouldn't want is bloody Fury Usyk. I mean, you couldn't feel like York Hall Bethnal Green with that, but that's the worst one you don't want. Any other combination is pretty good, but I think there's going to be some drama in both. I'm with you. I think someone of the favorites lose, but you know what? It is what it is. It's boxing. It really is. Sometimes you got to strike while iron's hot, and they've let this simmer for too long.
Yeah,
and that's what happens.
We're dying to see it.
Shit happens. Yeah,
we're dying to see it, lads. Gone for over an hour now. 120 in the building. Appreciate all that. I'm gonna let this man catch up. I'm gonna let you catch up. Have a little. Gonna have some drinks before you go to sleep and watch a bit of Netflix or something.
You know, I've actually got a BT Sports podcast in the morning, so I've got to do some research.
Happy out. Have a nice little whiskey or something while watching that. While doing your research.
Why not, eh? Why not? I've got a couple of bottles sent to me recently by a few of you wonderful fans, so I will definitely toast to you all a bit later.
Happy. Lads, for now, I'll leave you. Appreciate Ade for coming on. Lads, I'm just going to call it quits here. Peace.